Type Podcast Studios.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Bevan. I'm your host of the FFS podcast by Fortuna Female Society. And today we're going to be looking at what the FFS is loneliness. So, over to you guys. Can I ask you to introduce yourself? So we've got lovely Sal back from last time and one of our other trustees, Jan. So if I come to you first, Jan, we'd like to say who you are and
You can.
a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jan. I'm one of the trustees, and I'm usually the person behind the social media and the website.
And what a sterling job you do with that as well. I don't
Thank
know
you
what we
very
do
much.
without you.
Yeah.
And Sal?
Yeah, I'm Sal Johnson Griffiths. My full-time day job is in public health, but I'm really behind supporting women, and hence why Female Fortuna Society is the one for me.
Brilliant. I'm glad to have you both on board as well. So, as we're going to talk about loneliness, one of the key things for Fortuna Female Society, I think, is that our mission is around tackling social isolation, providing places for people to connect and make connections. So I suppose one of the first things I wanted to sort of speak to you guys about is what do you think it means to be lonely? Do you think there is an issue with loneliness?
Totally. And I think that for me, loneliness is not something that you either have or haven't. It can come and go, can't it? Because you might have a few days or a day or so where you feel lonely and not part of something, but actually it can change. So it also depends on what you've got around you. But I think we all experience loneliness from time to time. We've all probably been in a place where we'd like to make a connection with someone and we can't, and it doesn't mean you are lonely, but if you have a sense of needing something more, then that's the key thing, isn't it? We need to look at that.
I think it's very hard to put a real pinpoint on it because there is a scale to it. I honestly don't know whether I have ever felt and I've gone, oh, I'm lonely. And I think a lot of that is because I isolate myself quite a lot anyway, the type of person I am. Which is why Fortuna was important for me. Was that feeling of I am isolating again, and is that feeling is that actually loneliness? That feeling of look, Jan, you're isolating, pack it in.
For me, I do. I kind of opened up a little bit before, didn't I? I think for me, one of the hardest things ever was to admit to feeling lonely, and it was probably at a time in my life when I looked to the outside world like I must be the least lonely person ever because I was so busy and I was out and I was doing lots, but there were just a few things in my life at the time that weren't quite connecting. So I don't know if there's something around that meaningful connection, but it's just interesting. I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, Jan, but when we were talking earlier and, you joke quite often and say you're the antisocial, which I don't believe and I won't have. Yeah. But you've been coming to Supper Club pretty much since it started, really. It's been going for a fair few years now. So I just wonder what was it that attracted you to come into the Supper Club, and what have you found useful in being part of that group?
My friend Angelita just said, I'm going to Supper Club on Friday. Are you coming? And I went, oh, don't know about that. Oh, no. And I went. I was, like I said, I was very aware I was isolating again, and I think it was important just to see people.
Yeah.
That real life connection is I mean it's massive. I don't think we can underestimate it. And I went and it was fabulous, and I've gone most times it's been on since.
Yeah, you've definitely been one of our most regular attendees. And I think you're right. I think there's something around that. And when we decided to do Supper Club, and I've talked about this so many times now, it was a bit of a response to coming out of COVID. We tried to do things online. People didn't seem that keen on that space. And we didn't really know what direction we were going to go in, and it was a bit of an easy supper club, just a nice, we'll just see who comes along, see what happens. And I hadn't anticipated that just providing that simple opportunity for connection would go quite as mad as it did. Because I don't know if you remember, Jan, there were times in those sort of months after COVID in particular where we had to cap off the number of people who were coming along, because we were filling out the church hall that we were using at the time. It was, It was really, really busy, but COVID was a really odd time anyway. I was very fortunate that I wasn't locked down, if you can call it that. I worked right the way through and did public transport. And what was very noticeable was the total disconnect. I mean, people seriously lost touch. They became, in my view, they forgot how to be human, and we have to get that back. That empathy, that they were scared to be around other people.
Yeah. It was a scary time.
Well, yes, it was
for some.
Yeah.
For some.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that's, I mean, we've not been chatting for that long, but we're talking about three things in particular, aren't we? We've said about loneliness, and we've said about social isolation or isolation, and we've used the word connection. And I think the three, they're very different things, aren't they? Because you might be connected, you might have connections, but if those connections aren't meaningful and then they're not feeding something in you, then you may as well not have them, because they're not. You can still be lonely and look like you've just said, have all those things around you.
Yeah, be with lots and lots of people, but if something's just not connecting, I mean, I think a big turning point for me was, and again, I don't know if it's something of a women of a certain age, but when we started cold water swimming, and we've, again, similarly to the Fortuna, built almost a little community around that.
Absolutely.
And again, it's just amazing when you think women just want a space to be with other women. And it almost blows your mind a little bit, because you just think, aren't people just sort of doing this anyway? But it's almost by, especially what we offer with Fortuna Female Society, I think we're giving women permission to take that time out to just be. I mean, you can read different things and you look into sort of the history of when women used to go and do the laundry together, and, when women were at home raising the children together. There's certainly something around that communal space that has kind of disappeared over the years. And I think what we're doing, and I think we're doing it well, is we're giving permission to say to women, actually, just come and be in this space with other women and just be. That's,
Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much appreciated. It was one of the things that came through for me on the consultation, was that requirement was just to connect with other women.
Yeah.
And there was no big ask, nothing more than that. It was, I just want to be around other women. And that it's not available anywhere else, is it, really?
And I think, I mean, loneliness can happen to anyone, can't it? You can feel lonely, you can feel isolated. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, but I think there's very different drivers behind the loneliness that we feel. And I think for women, there's really very specific times that you can feel lonely. And I think, weirdly, one of the times that I've probably felt loneliest was having kids. So you go from working full time, and I attend an office, and you're chatting to people, and there's people there, and you're having conversations. Then all of a sudden, you're thrown into a world with a small child, mostly on your own, because your partner's still out and doing what they do, and your world is suddenly revolving around something else, someone else, and you might be hugely busy. I went to so many, breastfeeding groups and tumble tots, all these different things for the child. And yes, I spoke to people, and there was a lot of people there, but that wasn't my connection. It wasn't for me. There was nothing that I was getting from that.
Although I would counter that a little bit,
Would you?
because I actually, the loneliest time for me was actually going back to work after maternity.
Okay.
So I, in a really short space of time, as you say, had accessed all these groups, all these amazing things, and had built, again, almost a little community. I think I just love being part of a community.
You don't say.
I know. Queen of community, that's me. But, there was a group of us who'd all had babies around the same time. We would meet for lunch and do different things. And I remember going back to work and being on that school run, on that rush, getting back to where I was expected to present myself in a certain way and behave in a certain way and almost forget that I was a mum again. And I found that the loneliest time, and I really craved kind of being part of that bubble again, I think. I found that a bit. So maybe it's something around change and transition.
Maybe it was,
yeah.
Because actually,
think
now
so.
you've said that was difficult.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the proving that being surrounded by people is not enough. That's not enough to stop loneliness.
Yeah.
It's the meaningfulness behind that, isn't it? And are you getting the thing that you need out of it? And I suppose that's what we're doing with FFS, isn't it? We've got so many different streams of things that there's a different type of something that hopefully will attract.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think for me as well, part of it is, do we need to break down some of this stigma around loneliness? You know, just thinking about those examples we've just talked about then, the example I gave before about how I found it hard to say I'm lonely. And I think sometimes we have a stereotypical view in our minds of what a lonely person looks like.
Yeah.
And it's somebody in the house on their own, you know, probably of a certain age. However, I don't think there's anything wrong in admitting that, you know, you can be in a happy relationship, in happy situation, yet there's still something that you want outside of that. And that's, you know, I don't know if sometimes we're not able to say that.
Yeah.
I think when I was having a read around this whole thing, for women, that peak of feeling lonely started around 35, 40, and that's when all the changes start to occur, whether it's in your job or whether the kids don't need you as much as they did, or the hormones have gone south along with your hair, or whatever else is going on. Yeah. There's a lot of change going on, and all of a sudden everything that props you up is melting away. And it's finding almost a replacement, isn't it, for that? But, yeah, it's... looking back, I mean, I call it isolation, and perhaps it was loneliness. I lost everything.
Yeah.
In a very, very short period of time. It was like total shutdown for me. But yeah, I'm more depressed than lonely.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with being alone, and I think I
value alone.
I love being alone.
And that's the thing. It's not about being on your own.
No.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that is
me
needed.
time is amazing.
Yeah. It's about the feelings that come with it. I think sometimes, isn't it? And
that's it.
Yeah, because I'm very rarely on my own. Never on my own. Give me some alone time, please.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So I think you touched a little bit, and I touched a little bit on it around when we came back after COVID and the online thing. And I just, we talked a little bit about social media last time we were here chatting. And I just wonder, do you think online is a suitable replacement? Do you think connections can be made that way? Or, you know, do we need to work hard to preserve the spaces that we're creating where people could connect in person?
You can make connections online, but they don't replace real human beings.
Yeah.
But not that they're not real human beings on the other side. There is very definitely something special when you sit, like we are now, sit and have a conversation that's not down a mic or typing on a keyboard or, you know, through a camera or whatever else.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, you know, social media, let's not get into the bad bits of that, but the world shrinking and getting closer together and being able to make links with people in other countries that you would otherwise have lost connections with, it's phenomenal. And, you know, on Facebook, I've got 500 and odd friends that, you know, I probably try and keep in touch with a good number of them that I wouldn't have seen for decades, probably, if social media wasn't there. So it's nice to have the connection, but at the end of the day, we're mammals and we're social beasts, and there's something about how being with people and that connection builds your hormones and your endorphins and all the happy drugs that go on inside our bodies that, you know, seeing the words on a screen doesn't tick that box, doesn't give you that kind of sense
Yeah.
of feeling. So it's lovely being connected and knowing that there's people there.
Yeah.
And as a means of getting hold of people, if you can't get out and about, then it's perfect.
Yeah.
But it's not a replacement, and I think that's where some of the problems lie, I think.
Yeah, where we
it's a
need
great
to-
facilitator,
Yeah.
it's a great tool, but it can't ever replace just human touch and contact and a hug.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Not for you,
Not a
Jen.
hugger.
Not for me.
Not a hugger. I am a hugger.
It's funny, isn't it? I became more of a hugger as a rebel. When people said you can't hug people, I went, I'm going to hug you.
Around like that, the hugging monster.
That says more about you, Jen.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So, do you think we ever get to an age where we're too old to make new friends? You're saying you've got like loads of friends on Facebook. I also have loads of friends, and I don't know if you're like me. I pick up so many friends when like on holiday, and you connect with somebody, and you might spend half a day with them. Then you're like, yeah, get you on Facebook. They're still there 6 years down the line. I've probably never had a conversation since. Hi to any of those of you that are watching this. Let's get in touch. But yeah, so I suppose you throw that term friends. We've got friends on Facebook, friends on this. But genuinely making friends as an older person, do we ever get too old? Or do you think we can
No.
still make friends the
Of
older we
course, you
get?
can still
I
make
didn't
friends.
even know where to start, to be honest. And I never did. So that's... Can you make friends as an older person? I mean, I've made friends as an older person, but they're very deep relationships. And then there's other people who are, just don't bother me. You're over there somewhere else.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the point, isn't it? There's friends, and then there's real friends.
Real friends.
Yeah.
There's acquaintances, there's friends, and then there's real sort of
Yeah.
those deep connections. But clearly, I can't comment on whether you're ever too old, because I'm clearly not too old to make friends. But it's really, my goodness, the thought of not ever making new friends just because I'm getting older fills me with absolute dread. And maybe that's just because I am a social person and I am nosy and I like to find out about people. But
It's just I've had some interesting conversations recently around friendship and making friends and one person said to me, well, I've got enough friends. What do I want any more for? And I was like, is there a limit on friends? Do I have a cap on it? I better start sorting through mine like a wardrobe sort. Say, right, I'm going to get rid of you, keep you.
Yeah.
make space over here for...
But yeah, I've got enough friends. I don't need any more friends. And I just thought, is that a thing? Because even those friendships that we make when we're younger, and we you do drift apart. Your lives become so different. But you always kind of want to maintain a space for that. But is there room for more?
Friendship's not static, is it? And it depends on where you are at a particular time in your life. And friendship fulfills a particular need in you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you gravitate to people that meet that need, that have similar interests. And by golly, of a certain age now. But my interests are vastly different than when I was 17 or 18 and had no problem getting out there and making friends. But if I met those people now, I wouldn't be in the slightest bit interested in
in the same
being
things.
friends with them. And there's people in my life. I've got a small circle of really close friends that we've had since childhood and since school, and I hold them dear. If I met them now as new people, would I be interested? Would we have the same connection? I don't know, because there's something about that shared experience through time.
Yeah.
There's people that I've met that I've been incredibly good friends with that I now don't see, and it doesn't bother me. And if I saw them again in the street, I'd chat with them, and I'd maybe go for a brew and a cake, and that would be fine. But then there's new people like the swim group.
Yeah,
There's friends in
quite
there that are brand new, but they fill the thing in me right now that is more meaningful to me now. And the thought that that's not going to happen just because I'm older. Oh no, not even going there.
We'll be wheeling you out, won't we?
Argue with who's going to carry my coffin.
Yeah.
So I suppose not really an elephant in the room, but while we're talking quite openly about what we do as an organisation to try and tackle isolation, tackle loneliness, do you think there's a difference in how women will feel lonely to how men feel lonely? And is there enough being done for men, I guess? I feel like we're talking about how we're going to create these spaces and we're able to make friends. We've found these shared experiences. But I feel like a lot of what we've touched on might not necessarily be what men would access.
Oddly enough, I was talking to a guy this morning about this. I said, because he said, "Oh, what are you doing today?" I said, "I'm going on a podcast." And we were chatting, and he was on about he started doing pub crawls with his friends because
It's an option.
it's an option every however many months to get out to meet up, because that has stopped. And what he was saying was like the younger guys don't go out, don't meet up like what they used to, and that is a problem. So yeah, I think they, while they may not feel it the same way that we do because their lived experience is different.
Yeah.
You know, they don't lose a friendship when a relationship breaks up. I mean, that tends to happen with women, doesn't it? If your relationship breaks up, they go, well, it did for me anyway. The people who you hung around with were their friends, and it was like, that stopped. I don't think they have it the same way, but there's definitely an issue with the connection, and not meeting with people and being human.
Yeah.
And
and again, something around that stigma of are they able to say, do you know what, this is, I feel lonely.
Yeah.
I think for me that's the biggest thing and the sort of hardest hurdle to get over is, at what point can you say, actually, I'm over here, it's me, I'm lonely. I need something.
And I don't think that it doesn't make a gender doesn't make a difference in that, does it? But I think probably women are probably more able to voice it as a rule, but I think it's difficult. But coming from a sort of a health background, knowing that, men have difficulty in talking about health and talking about feelings and talking about emotions, and it comes back to, in the previous podcast, we were talking about masculinity, weren't we? And there's stereotypes of sort of masculine and feminine traits, and if you're a real man, you don't admit to this kind of thing, and you're not going to
cry and all
boys
that.
don't cry. Boys get sad too. So I suppose it's harder to talk about those things. So I think there is something we need to tackle loneliness as a population, but I do think there's absolutely a need for targeting of different types of approaches for loneliness for men and for women, and different ages.
I was just going to say, I think, again, another misconception when we think of stereotypes around loneliness is that it doesn't affect young people.
Oh,
and again, I don't know if it's
absolutely.
symptoms of the times that we live in, but it's a really increasing problem. So I was reading a couple of bits around loneliness, and it actually says in a recent survey that there's 1 in 4 adults report feeling lonely, often, always, or some of the time.
Yeah.
So that's, when you're looking at all the people, that's a big statistic.
Quarter
1 in
people,
4, yeah.
Quarter of people.
So
And
that will be across all ages, all genders, all people who at some point are feeling a sense of loneliness.
And there is breakdowns. The National Household Survey breaks down sort of happiness scores and things into different types of population. But there is increasing loneliness amongst younger people. And I think because of that move to sort of onlineness, and that there's missing of onlineness, is that
Onlineness. We're taking that one, aren't we?
Yeah, have that one. Judy Dent or whatever. No, that's Judy. Anyway, I digress. The Dent woman that does the words. Anyway,
I know you mean,
I digress. I think because kids are online much, they're missing that connection. And I know, I worry for my children. I mean, I think lockdown and stuff had a massive impact at certain ages, and I think there is a huge section of the population now that has missed some opportunities for connections and developing friendships, and at pivotal times in their life they've missed some of that, and probably don't have the skill because the thing that when you start to go out to the park together or walk downtown or something, they've missed out on that. But I think it's built quite a lot of anxiety and social anxieties because of that. But then on the other side of that, people were connected on WhatsApp and you could phone people a lot more. And it's not like when we were little and you had to sit on the stairs and be on the phone for an hour before your mum told you to get off because no one else could phone. It's different. So they can talk, but it's not a connection.
No, it's not. And I suppose one of the things I was going to sort of try and delve into is how would we tackle loneliness? And I do think, things like the supper club and different things that we do, but just touching on some of those things that you were just talking about when you walk in places and you're doing things. I have been away recently and we were doing a lot of travelling and we were on a lot of trains. And when I was asked, we've seen some fantastic places. When I was asked what my favourite part of the holiday was, it was actually sitting on those trains around the little table, just the four of us, me, my husband and the two kids, having that time to connect, because I think a lot of it is life is so busy now as well.
Yeah.
And, we don't put enough value on time to be. We just don't do that anymore. Just being in each other's company. And again, I would say, I feel like Fortuna Female Society are starting to and are going some way to give permission for women to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot more we can do. I feel like there must be so many more women who would benefit from coming and accessing the activities and events that we do. I don't know what the answer is to getting some of those out, but I do feel like just giving permission to be is so important.
Yeah, I think that's vital. Life is so busy at the minute. I think we're in the busiest age we've ever been in, with so many different things to go on. And I think you're right. I'm sitting on a train and not having a TV over there and a phone with good connection to get on. That it forces you to talk, and I can imagine that was really nice. I like Christmas because it gives you sort of time out of the normal routine thing. You're not at work and things don't run, and actually just playing board games with the kids was nice. And a colleague of mine actually who is a different religion, doesn't celebrate Christmas, but still has time off at Christmas. And she said she really enjoys just being able, because everything's closed for Christmas Day.
Yeah.
There's nothing else they can do as a family on Christmas Day. They don't celebrate in the same way that we might. Just being able to go out for a walk and not have anything else to do is fabulous.
Why can't people do that?
Why can't we do that when it's not Christmas?
I mean, without sounding up my own backside, I do that. So,
You can lead the walking group.
I'd be quite happy with that. I'm in the process of de-Googling myself and everything at the moment.
De-Googling?
De-Googling myself.
I'm always Googling myself. What do you mean de-Googling?
Getting rid of... I mean, I've still got the smartphone, but it's not connected to Google. It's not connected to Facebook. My workflow is changing. Okay. So when it comes to actually working, I'll be sat at my PC. So, I mean, I've never had the phone in my hand constantly because it's always wound me up. I haven't got a problem with leaving it at home. I don't have a TV licence. I'll get up and go for a walk. And it amazes me that that's so unusual. And I've lived on there for the past however long. But then you see, like, I mean, I use public transport, I don't drive, and you'll see the mums get on, and I'm not being judgmental because it's just a thing, isn't it? They'll push them on. The kids in the prams with the little pads, and they're constantly glued to it. And the mum's on the phone. And again, it comes down to connection, doesn't it?
Connection and that communication.
We've got an entire generation now who probably only know that as the connection. They only know that as the way to connect, I think.
And I think there's something in that, isn't it? I know in the last podcast we talked about the telephone use and
getting kids off the phone during school days and things,
and less screen time, and the fact that we don't know the impact that has in the long term and stuff. But we said then that we're starting to see some of that, aren't we? But it's key that we've started seeing children coming to school that haven't got the same language and vocabulary because we're not having conversations with kids. Children that are developing American accents at a young age because of the content and the voices that they're surrounding themselves with. You know, we're going to have Liverpool full of little Americans soon and not the, the good old Scouse accent. Because that's what people are listening to. And my son is try to get him off YouTube and as much as possible, but he comes out with these phrases that you think they're
that they're picking
not
up
local.
And, no, I know.
Talk proper like what I do.
Yeah. It feels quite big, doesn't it? Like some of the things that we touched on last time. I think it does feel quite big, and maybe again that's a space where we should be looking at what we can offer more. Because I know we said, didn't we, in the last podcast, that one of the things that we have been amazed at and find really positive is that at any of the sessions you very rarely find anyone on the phones, and that will be
absolutely.
With the younger group. As you know, I quite often am at the younger group and Sal's at the younger group, and very, very rarely we'll see them on the phone. So it's about how can we, first of all, how can we convince them that there's something better that's not online, and how can we make it attractive? Because one of the other things I was just thinking about as we were chatting then, and and we're talking about what the benefits we've had and how it's great to connect, and and I said I think there's so many more women that would benefit. One of the things that I hear so often, which is why you'll get the Laura's Laps in the morning sometimes popping up, is, and we've seen it recently, I think, haven't we, a flurry of people getting in touch saying, that they want to get involved, but it's so nerve-wracking for people to take that first step over the threshold. I think, it's so easy to click a send, send a message and do whatever online. But how do we encourage people who are at home feeling lonely and need that connection? How do we make them feel it's okay to come and be a part of it? We know it's okay. We know that we're super welcoming and we'll be lovely when you get there. But how do we make them see that and feel that? So I've tried it a little, but again, we're relying with online. I've tried it a little bit with those videos that I do, because I think, well, at least if they see my Fizog in the morning, they'll go, well, I know she's going to be there. So, I'll
she's
go.
Gonna be there.
It might put them off, actually. I might stop doing that. But, how do we encourage people into spaces that they're not already going? And, particularly young people, I think, are difficult to encourage into those spaces. But, what is there an answer to that? Is there something that we're missing? Is there, what do you guys think would be?
I think if we had the answer to that, we'd have the answer to everything, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Because it's meeting people where they're at, and I think it's going to be really hard to engage younger people in that, because at least us older folk, we've had something before and we've seen changes over time, and we know what it was like when we had to go out and play on the building site on school holidays because there was nothing else to do.
Because there's no else to do. Been there, done that.
So we know what it was like back then. But younger people have grown up online. They've grown up with screens, and there's been less social interaction throughout. So encouraging that there's positives to that is going to be quite hard. So I don't know what the answer to that is. But obviously working with young people. So if you're a young person and you're watching this now, and I don't know who's forced you to watch it, but thank you. Tell us, give us some. Tell us what will help.
What would make people want?
What will make you come and join in?
Is it something about that humanisation? Is it something about reminding people about people? Is it as simple as that? Do we need to just sort of bring the humanity back somehow to make people want to connect back in?
There is, and there's different ways to do that, isn't there? There's sort of the huggy feely touchy thing that's gonna entice certain people in, but sticking my sort of public health hat on, the impact of loneliness is very different to social isolation. But the impacts are vast. When we talk about loneliness, we think about, you said the traditional, the stereotypical image of someone sitting, huddled in front of a 2-bar fire or whatever. But that's not the case. But we think about the impact on mental health. We think about sort of depression and anxiety, and they are absolutely massive impacts and effects from loneliness and isolation. But people forget that there's physical health impacts.
Yeah, it's cited as one of the most sort of damning kind of
so
things to cause health.
increases in cardiovascular disease, increases in dementia because of lack of cognitive engagement and people making those meaningful connections. There's other health impacts that are akin to smoking, the effect of smoking.
Saw that. Has that been a recent
That's
thing?
that's fairly recent, but
yeah,
there's a lot of background. So it has a massive impact, and it is different between loneliness. It's the isolation that's the key thing. When I was working in local authorities, one of my massive soapboxes was around, you know, in Widnes and Runcorn, you see some of the big estates building up. So that, you know, the Upton Rock side of Widnes, you've got Sandymore in Runcorn, where big houses, lovely houses, expensive houses that, you know, people are coming to the boroughs because it's easy to get to Liverpool and London. There's great accessibility to get to everywhere in the world is phenomenal. But these are people that are going out to work at 9 o'clock in the morning, coming back, picking the kids up, going home, cooking tea, maybe dropping the kids off at football and coming back. They don't even know the name of the person living next door to them,
I know.
let alone who's down the street. So we've got these communities that look phenomenal and affluent and have everything. But actually the thing they haven't got is connection.
Community. Again, it goes back to that community.
Absolutely.
It does.
That connection is key.
Yeah.
For everything that we do, which means that as a community we don't have resilience. So, you know, if you run out of milk and you can't go, you don't know who to get in touch with to say, can I borrow a couple of milk?
I mean, years ago that was your go-to, wasn't it? But now the other thing is everything's so accessible, isn't it? So people aren't, the shops are open till whatever time, whereas years ago it was 6 o'clock, the shop was shut, you
get a Deliveroo.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, we're really lucky where we live, and I will say that was a positive from like the COVID times, was that as a neighbourhood we really pulled together. I actually thought it was a real turning point, and although things are better than they were before, as you say, that busyness has got in the way, and we're still just like, oh, hi in the mornings.
Yeah, you've gone back to...
It's me being busy, isn't it, usually? But maybe we'll find some easy answers in it somewhere. I don't know, but it is...
I don't know. I don't think there's an answer, is there? That's the point. There is no single answer. There's lots of different ways to tackle it, and we need feedback, don't we?
Yeah,
we need feedback.
You know,
yes, we do.
As FFS, we've had the consultation, and we've got some great information, haven't we, about what people want to see.
And it's still open as well.
We've got podcasts. That was one of the things people...
Well, yeah, I mean, the hope is, you know, through this that people will see us chatting and will want to come and be a part of that, and we'll see that we're nice, lovely, real life human beings.
Yes. Flesh and blood, not vampires.
Yeah, because I guess...
real.
So a bit of an ask really is, if you were to tell somebody why they should come to Fortuna Female Society, if you were going to get them over the threshold, what would you say to them? I suppose I'll ask you first, Jan. Why would you tell someone to come?
I mean, I have recommended FFS to people, mainly because of the rather than the isolation, the accessibility to the activities. There is no financial barrier. You don't need to have 20 quid in your back pocket to go and do a meditation in a room or wherever, you know. And there's a lot of choice. So I'm not too sure how that ties into loneliness, but yeah, get over the door because it's there and it's accessible.
And I think for me it's similar to that. There is so many different types of things that we offer. Yeah. There will be something that appeals to everyone. I don't know any of the groups where there are cliques. And you do, you know, if you go to the gym or you go to other places, there's always little groups and you think, well, I can't approach them because they clearly know each other. I think every single group that we've been in, there are individuals that have come together. And I have not witnessed once anyone being excluded or sitting on their own. There's always someone that's bringing someone in. So if you're feeling a little lonely, if you're feeling like you need something, then just come along to one of the sessions. Have a look on the Facebook page. Have a look on the website. A whole different range of activities. Come along, give it a go.
That would definitely be my suggestion is, you know, as I said, people would look at me and not think she's a lonely person. And I have had moments of loneliness, and seriously being at those Fortuna Female Society activities, I think I've openly said have lifted me, have made me feel better after a really bad day. I think, you know, I could do just going and climbing under the duvet, and I turn up and we have our session, and I always feel hugely lifted by the women in the room. And you know, and I know how hard it can be to go over the threshold. I get it. It's, you know, I think sometimes people can see, especially we're here talking, people think, oh, they're confident and they can do this, that and the other. It is not. It is a huge push out of my comfort zone to have got me where I am. But, you know, I completely say it's down to the amazing women that have been part of Fortuna Female Society and been a part of creating that space. Absolutely. So I would, as Sal said, just urge anyone who, you know, just feels like they want to be in a safe space, feels like they just want to be with other people. I mean, you don't even have to talk. You don't even have to come and say, you know, we're not asking you to come and give us your life story. Yeah. Just come and take part in an activity, come and have a chat. And the friendships that have been made, because we've had so many ladies who have come on, you know, they've braved it and come on their own. And, you know, I'm not going to sort of out them, but, you know, I'm thinking of a couple in particular, and they've made some lovely connections and gone on to do loads of other things outside of what we offer with the friends that they've made through Fortuna Female Society.
The FFS is not us. It's not about the chair or the trustees. It's about you, and it's about the people that come. It is
100%. It's about the people who come along to the sessions. Thank you, ladies. That was a great conversation. So we asked what the FFS is loneliness, and we hope that we've really managed to answer that for you in this episode. But if you've got anything that you'd like to add, don't forget to comment and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.